Lock of the Night and on Twitter at MMA LOTN. This week, we're going to be tackling UFC Utica, which goes down this Friday, June 1st, live from Utica, New York. First of all, I just want to apologize for my absence the last couple weeks. It's just been a little bit difficult to find time to do these podcasts, but I've started to hammer down a little bit more of a concrete schedule that I'll be able to make time for this podcast every fight week, and I don't want to miss another one. So here's my promise to you guys. No more missed podcasts. There will always be a fight week, Lock of the Night podcast for you guys to listen to. Moving right on, I just want to address the up and down issues of my past couple events. I just want to be able to manage opportunities a little bit better. Don't really know what to say. I may be going into some of these fights with a little bit of a bias towards grapplers, but I definitely need to shore up those mistakes before I can move on any further. So I feel like I've done that for this UFC Utica card. I've done the time, I've put in the tape, and tried to look at it as unbiased as possible, and I believe that I have the three best picks that I could come up for this card. And moving forward, I'm going to be using the same type of mentality going into these fights. I was minus 2.44 units last time out with the hit on Breeze and then missing Spicely, but I don't want to be splitting these events anymore. Those small losses starting to add up, but I'm still in the green. I still believe in my strategy, and I'm going to continue to bring you guys Lock of the Night plays forever, pretty much. So it's something I just want to tease real quick. I got some more content, different type of content coming out for you guys, not just breakdowns. Don't want to say too much about it yet, but you guys will see what I'm talking about next week or the week after for sure. Just got to lock down some things, but I got some fun shit coming up, and I'm really excited for you guys to hear it and continue to bring some more content for you guys. So without further ado, let's just get right into this UFC Utica card. I got three Lock of the Night plays, like I said, but we'll go through the card from bottom to top, and I'll break down my Lock of the Night plays for you guys. So kicking things off, I got Torres over Brooks, Wood over Eduardo, and then my first Lock of the Night play, which is my second ever dog money Lock of the Night play, which is Jodie Esquibel over Jessica Aguilar. Starting off with Jessica Aguilar, she's 0-2 in the UFC, and she's definitely starting to show her age. She doesn't have the greatest stand-up, even though she showcased some good leg kicks against Claudia Gadelha, which, didn't really win her the fight or anything like that, but just something of note in terms of her striking. Other than that, she doesn't really move her head much. She's pretty robotic with her striking. Casey was able to light her up on the feet by utilizing her distance and superior striking, but Aguilar was really having issues trying to close the distance and get in close for that fight. I think the game has kind of passed her by, and this may be the final straw for her. She was really, reliant on her clinch and grapple heavy game back in the day, but I don't think that's going to work anymore. Those head and arm throws and just holding girls down, I don't think that's going to work at her age when, she's definitely not as strong and not as dominant with her top control. She hasn't really been the best with her top control. When girls try to get up, they can get up, but some girls just try to accept position, and then, you get that Jessica Aguilar fight where she's just laying on top of you. So I don't think that's something that's going to happen in this fight, hence why I'm so confident in Jodie Esquibel, especially to the point where I would, name her one of my Lock of the Night plays. So moving on right on to Esquibel, she has a 6-3 record. It's not the most impressive, but if you really look at that 6-3 record, you'll see why I picked her. I'm completely writing off her Karolina Kowalkiewicz fight, as Jessica Aguilar will not present anything that Karolina did. She doesn't even have a tenth of what the striking that Karolina has, so I'm definitely not putting too much into that fight. The fact that even Esquibel was able to endure, pretty much 15 minutes of getting outclassed on the feet, that just helps her case in this Aguilar fight, as I don't think Aguilar has the chops to actually finish Jodie Esquibel, especially if Karolina Kowalkiewicz wasn't able to. Esquibel showed amazing heart and submission defense late in the first round in her fight against Deanna Bennett, but then eventually outpointed Deanna in the last two rounds with the exact game plan I think she'll be able to beat Jessica Aguilar with, which is her crisp boxing mixed in with a lot of great footwork. a lot of people do forget that Jodie Esquibel was in the eliminate or tried out for the Joanna versus Claudia Ultimate Fighter, and she was actually eliminated by Ashley Yoder. But if you guys watched that fight, it was a pretty close fight. I think Esquibel got the better of the stand-up and was able to, shuck off the takedown attempts from Yoder enough that she should have gotten that decision. There were a couple times where Yoder was close to getting Esquibel down, but Esquibel did a good job of pushing Yoder's head down and was able to shuck off her takedowns and, pretty much keep the fight on the feet. Not sure what the judges exactly saw in that fight, but it is what it is, and that's kind of another reason why I think Esquibel is at dog money at this in this fight. Esquibel is not going to knock you out, but she'll definitely be able to put on a striking clinic against Jessica Aguilar. Her movement and variety of shots is kind of her strong suit, and I think the good footwork that she has will allow her to stay out of the danger of Aguilar's wrestling. If she gets taken down, again, she has shown great get-ups, and I don't think Aguilar has the top control anymore to be able to hold a fighter like Esquibel down. So I think that Esquibel will be able to outpoint Aguilar on the feet and cash my second ever dog money lock of the night play. Just for reference, my first ever one was Ramazan Ameev against Sam Alvey way back at UFC, who the fuck knows. So again, I got Esquibel plus 140 to take this fight by decision. Moving on, I got Green over Tabao, Muhammad over Rencountree, Teymur over Lentz, Murphy over Banks, Alvey over Vellante, and then my second lock of the night play, which is Julio Arce at minus 162 over Daniel Teymur, aka Lil Teymur. Moving on, starting off with Teymur, he has very strong defense. Very strong Muay Thai, very aggressive striker, and he's very good with his low kicks, especially that, it's a chopping low kick. It's pretty, interesting to see and see how guys react to it. But again, that's pretty much only in the first round. He pretty much threw everything he had when he was fighting Danny Henry. Henry was just really durable and was able to eat those strikes, something that I think Arce, he may not eat as many strikes in this fight, but I think even if he does get hit, he should be able to endure or, eat those shots and continue to implement his game plan. I was kind of surprised that Henry wasn't able to finish Teymur, as Teymur was huffing and puffing pretty much by the end of the second round. But again, Henry did eventually still pull off the decision victory after getting lit up in that first round. There's a very interesting exchange in one of Teymur's regional fights where he got dropped, and it was kind of a premature stoppage by the referee. David Teymur comes into the cage and starts arguing the stoppage, and same with Daniel Teymur. And, next clip that you see is the fight being restarted. And right away, pretty much, Teymur, goes in for a striking exchange and just shoots for a takedown, which the guy that he fought looks like he had no takedown game or takedown defense at all. He pretty easily got the takedown and then eventually crept on to get the choke. In that fight especially, you could see Teymur can be hit, and he is a short guy, so his distance doesn't really cover that much. I believe he has about 66 inches of reach, and I don't know if how much that's really going to translate into a fight against Julio Arce, who's going to be the bigger fighter in this fight, at least size wise, height wise, I mean. One other thing to note in this fight is that this will be the first time that Daniel Teymur is actually going to be fighting at 145. Most of his fights have been catch weights, pre-UFC, and the smallest I think he's gotten down to is 148. So even though he is short, he's definitely a pudging guy. So we'll see if this has much of an effect on Teymur, especially with his cardio. He was huffing and puffing at 155. Who knows how much effect a weight cut will have on him this time around too, especially with a pressure fighter like Julio Arce. So yes, Daniel Teymur is scary in the first round, but if he gets out of that, I think he's in trouble. With Julio Arce, you're getting a Tiger Showman trained fighter who's very durable, has great distance control, he's great with mixing it up, and he's always pressuring with a great gas tank. He lit Dan Ige up on the feet while being able to keep the fight standing, as Ige wanted to get the fight to the ground, but was still able to get the victory, decisioning Ige while landing a lot of significant strikes to the body and to the head in that fight. He took some punishment in his Dana White Tuesday Night Contender Series fight against Pettis, before eventually taking over with heavy body shots and pressure, and eventually getting the TKO in that fight. He has very good distance control, and that could definitely play a factor when Daniel Teymur is trying to overcommit on his punches to try and close that distance. That's where I think that Julio Arce will be able to counter, land a clean shot on Teymur, and maybe even make Teymur a little hesitant to be as aggressive as he normally is. I could see Arce draining Teymur with a bunch of body shots throughout the first, and then really start to utilize his handiwork when Teymur's pop and his shots begin to taper off in the second and third round. So I either see a late finish in the fight, early to mid third round. I don't think Arce will let Teymur off the hook like I think Danny Henry did. So I think we'll see Teymur get stopped for the first time in his career in this fight. Moving right on to my third lock of the night play. In the fight, I actually have Ellenberger over Saunders, but I played the prop of fight doesn't go to decision at minus 165. I personally thought this line was going to drop at about minus 250, which it is at roughly right now. So as soon as I saw that number, I had to jump on it. I believe that this is one of the fights that is probably most likely to go to, to not go to the decision on this card, hence why the prop got steamed as much as it did. Each of their last 4 out of 5 fights have not gone to a judge's scorecard. Whether it's them being finished or them finishing somebody else, they are capable of fight finishing strikes and techniques such as Saunders with his submission game. The one thing of note, though, is both of them have gotten KO'd or TKO'd in their last 2 fights. Ellenberger has taken at least roughly a year off after getting KO'd by Mike Perry, while Saunders, a very questionable move, just got flatlined 3 months ago. It's not a good luck coming back so soon after getting your brain rattled that much. He did get, completely knocked out by Joban, but even before that guy was getting wobbled all over the cage. There's no way that, if Ellenberger finds his chin, which I think he will, that Saunders won't go night-night. So I'm not confident enough in Ellenberger's chin either, so I had to go, the scenario and the route that will cover both situations. So I had to go with the fight doesn't go to decision, again at minus 165. The only way I don't see this fight hitting is if Ellenberger decides to wrestle fuck Ben, but I think that there will be enough significant exchanges in between that time, if that's how it goes, that either guy will get rocked that will lead to a submission or a TKO/KO. So again, minus 165 for that fight to not go to decision. Let's wrap up the rest of the card with quick picks. I got Harris over Spitz, Gillespie over Pichel, and Rivera over Moraes. That's pretty much a wrap for my picks. I'll be back next week to preview UFC 225, which is headlined by Bobby Knuckles and Yoel Romero, as well as an interim welterweight title fight between Colby Covington and Rafael Dos Anjos. Pretty much that's about it, and good luck with your bets, and I'm gone.